Welcome to Science for Sleep, a quiet corner where science drifts gently and the universe helps you unwind. Maybe your day was long, maybe your thoughts are still a bit loud. So take a moment to settle in and let your body grow lighter, as if gravity itself has softened around you. Here, you don't have to do anything at all, except breathe a little slower and allow the calm to rise. Tonight, we aren't just looking at the stars. We are drifting through our home galaxy, the Milky Way, an immense river of light, dust, and silence that has existed for more than 13 billion years. Its beauty feels timeless, but within it lie quiet motions, ancient collisions, and stories that continue to reshape themselves. We will move gently from its spiral arms toward its hidden heart. From stellar nurseries to deep gravitational wells. From soft clouds of gas to stars older than the galaxy itself. Some things you hear may surprise you. Others may simply spark a peaceful curiosity as you drift toward sleep. So if these calm cosmic journeys help you rest or give you a softer way to end your day, know that this place is always here for you. And now, as your breath settles and your thoughts begin to dim, let's begin our quiet journey through the galaxy. As you drift a little deeper into this quiet journey, the sounds of your day begin to fade at the edges, dissolving into a soft stillness that welcomes you in. Here, you do not have to hurry. You do not have to hold on to anything. The pace of the universe is slower, calmer, patient in a way that invites your breath to follow. With every gentle inhale, your body grows a little lighter, and with every slow exhale, your thoughts loosen their grip, becoming softer outlines rather than sharp shapes. In this space, the night expands around you like a calm ocean, and the cosmos begins to speak in the only language it knows, the quiet rhythm of creation. Long before galaxies spun their luminous arms, before stars ignited their first fires, the universe was a denser, hotter place, filled not with familiar forms, but with raw potential. There were no constellations, no planets, no shadows, only a vast field of energy that shimmered in silence. It was an infancy without light, a state so young and so full that it held every future moment within it, the way a seed holds the entire memory of a tree. As it expanded, it cooled, and from that cooling, the first particles began to appear. Tiny points of matter that floated through the newborn space like sparks drifting in a gentle wind. In this early era, nothing moved quickly. Everything was slow, stretching across unimaginable distances as if the universe itself was learning how to breathe. Protons and neutrons found each other and held each other, forming simple atomic hearts. Electrons circled them like soft currents, not yet bound into the structures that would later become stars. For hundreds of thousands of years, this delicate balance continued, a silent dance in a universe that remained dark, not because it lacked energy, but because the first light had not yet escaped. Eventually, as the expansion continued, the density dropped low enough for light to finally break free. The first photon slipped across the cosmos, no longer trapped by crowded matter. This was the universe's first whisper, its first visible breath, though it was far too faint and far too cold for any human eye to ever see. It was the beginning of a long journey from darkness to radiance, a story that would take billions of years to unfold. As time passed, the first clouds of hydrogen and helium began to gather under their own gravity. Very slowly, they thickened. Very gently, they warmed. And deep within these drifting spheres, pressure built until sparks of fusion ignited like quiet embers. The first stars were born, immense and unstable, burning blue and bright. They lived fast and died in brilliant explosions, scattering heavier elements into space, seeding the universe with the materials that would eventually shape everything familiar, including you. These early stars gathered into clusters and clusters into primitive galaxies. They drifted together, merging, stretching, folding into new forms. Gravity pulled threads of matter into long filaments, weaving the cosmic web that still defines the large-scale structure of the universe today. Between these filaments, great silent voids opened, regions so empty they could hold millions of galaxies and yet remain nearly flawless in their stillness. Within one of these glowing threads, far out along a spiral arm that did not yet exist, the first pieces of what would become the Milky Way began to collect. It started as a loose cloud of gas and dark matter, turning slowly, bound by forces too subtle to see, yet powerful enough to shape an entire future galaxy. Over time, this cloud flattened into a spinning disk, thin at the edges, denser toward the center, forming the earliest outline of the home you drift through now. Above and around this forming disk stretched a vast halo, a ghostly sphere filled with ancient stars and invisible matter. This halo acted like a quiet skeleton, holding the growing galaxy in place. Its stars moved in wide, slow orbits, older than the disk itself, glowing softly with the light of a time when the universe was still learning how to create. Inside the disk, new stars continued to form. Massive clouds of molecular hydrogen drifted through the plane, their cold interiors collapsing into brilliant nurseries. Some stars lived long, gentle lives. Others burned violently and ended in storms of radiant debris, contributing to the endless cycle of creation and dissolution that defines every galaxy. The Milky Way, even in its earliest form, moved like a breathing organism, expanding in some places, settling in others, shaped by collisions, fueled by gravity, guided by patience. As ages passed, the spiral pattern began to emerge more clearly. It was not carved into the galaxy like a solid structure, but formed as waves of density moved through the disk. Gas flowed into these waves, compressed under their influence, and from that pressure, new stars flickered into being. These illuminated the arms, tracing gentle curves of shimmering light that would stretch across hundreds of light years. In the heart of the galaxy, matter collected in increasing quantities, forming a dense central region where stars orbited rapidly around an unseen gravitational anchor. Deep within this brilliant core, a supermassive black hole grew, silent and patient. Around it, stars whipped through tight orbits, completing their journeys in mere millions of years. Though the black hole itself remained invisible, the motion it commanded revealed its presence, like a conductor guiding a symphony without ever lifting a hand. Farther out, the disk thickened and thinned over time. Waves passed through it, bending its shape, creating subtle warps that rose and fell like a slow cosmic tide. These ripples were signs at encounters long forgotten, collisions with smaller galaxies that left faint but permanent impressions. Some of these dwarfs were absorbed entirely, their stars scattered into streams that wrapped around the Milky Way like ghostly ribbons. Others remained in distant orbits, quiet companions that continued to influence the outer regions. In the spiral arms, clouds collided and merged, forming dense knots where pressure built and temperatures rose. From these knots, luminous clusters emerged, groups of young stars still wrapped in the remnants of the gas that birthed them. These clusters drifted together for a time before scattering, their members taking individual paths through the galaxy. Even the Sun, long before Earth existed, was born in such a cluster. Its siblings now travel far from one another, lost across the vastness, faint but not forgotten. And all the while, the galaxy continued to grow, pulling in fresh gas from intergalactic space, feeding on small galaxies that wandered too close, reshaping itself bit by bit. It was never static. It was never still. It evolved in silence, guided by the invisible pull of dark matter, illuminated by the soft glow of countless stars, expanding like a quiet breath drawn across billions of years. Here, in this vast and ancient structure, you drift now, surrounded by light, dust, and the long memory of a universe that has carried itself from nothingness into brilliance. And as the story deepens, you can feel the calm settling in your chest, the gentle weight of the moment anchoring you softly within the cosmic night. As the galaxy continued its slow evolution, the spiral arms stretched farther outward, like glowing ribbons carried by a gentle current. Within those arms, stars of every age drifted together in patterns shaped by time and gravity. Some were young, bright, and restless, shining with fierce blue light that cut through surrounding clouds. Others were older, dimmer, carrying the soft amber glow of long-lived suns approaching the quiet stages of their existence. All of them moved with purpose, even if that purpose was nothing more than following the curve of the galaxy's invisible pathways. Between the bright stars lay vast regions of calm, filled with thin dust and faint wisps of gas. These weren't empty spaces, but quiet corridors where the galaxy breathed, allowing energy and matter to circulate freely. In these darker pockets, supernova shock waves would sometimes ripple through, stirring clouds into motion and triggering new cycles of creation. Other times, these spaces remained undisturbed for millions of years, tranquil and still, like untouched corners of a drifting dream. Far above the galactic plane, the halo continued to hold its ancient secrets. Stars in the halo moved in wide elliptical paths, unaffected by the patterns of the spiral arms. Some of them were relics from the earliest days of the Milky Way's assembly. Their light carried different chemical signatures, evidence that they were born in places far removed from the familiar environment of the galactic disk. Others were captured wanderers, the remnants of galaxies the Milky Way had absorbed long ago. They orbited not in alignment with the disk, but at odd angles, tracing graceful arcs across the boundaries of the visible galaxy. The dark matter halo surrounding everything remained unseen but essential. It shaped the way stars moved, balanced the galaxy against its own rotation, and held the spiral together. Though invisible, it acted as the quiet foundation of the entire structure, a vast presence without sound or light, guiding the Milky Way through space with an unwavering grip. Without it, the spiral arms would unravel, the stars would drift away, and the galaxy would simply dissolve into the cosmic background. Within the disk, star formation remained a gentle pulse. Massive clouds of molecular hydrogen wandered through the spiral arms, their cold interiors hiding the seeds of new stars. When these clouds encountered regions of higher density, the pressure increased, and slowly gravity began to draw them inward. Over long spans of time, small clumps formed inside the clouds, tugging more material toward themselves. The collapse was slow, gentle, almost imperceptible, yet it marked the beginning of new stellar lives. As these protostars warmed, they continued to spin, drawing in gas and dust until the pressure at their cores grew strong enough to ignite fusion. When that moment arrived, the star would shine for the first time, a quiet flare of light joining the billions already drifting through the galaxy. Many of these new stars formed in clusters, surrounded by siblings that shared the same cloud and the same brief origin. They remained together only temporarily, gradually scattering as the gravitational tides of the Milky Way pulled them in different directions. Some of these young stars burned quickly, exhausting their fuel in just a few million years. Others, like the Sun, burned more slowly, destined for a steady, quiet journey through the spiral arms. In their lifetimes, they shaped the space around them, sending out winds of charged particles, illuminating nearby dust clouds, and leaving behind subtle signatures of their presence. Even in their silence, they influenced the galaxy's evolution, contributing to the ongoing cycle that defined its existence. Closer to the center of the Milky Way, the environment grew denser, busier, and more dynamic. Stars orbited faster there, pulled by the immense gravitational force of the central mass. Gas clouds spiraled inward, their paths curved by both the bar structure and the gravity of the core. The central black hole, though quiet most of the time, had once been far more active. Long ago, streams of matter may have fallen into it, creating bright flares of energy that lit up the surrounding region with intense radiation. These events left echoes behind, faint signatures imprinted in the gas clouds and high-energy structures still visible today. Now the black hole slept, influencing its surroundings only through gravity. But the motion around it remained a spectacle. Stars close to the core completed their orbits in a few million years, a pace far beyond the gentle drift of stars in the outer disk. They moved like dancers in a tight formation, tracing smooth loops shaped by the unseen presence at the center. Their paths appeared chaotic to the eye, but in truth, they followed laws as old as the universe itself, predictable and elegant in their precision. Farther away, the spiral arms continued to act as pathways for gas and dust. As the Milky Way rotated, these dense regions swept through the disk at a steady pace, gathering material and leaving behind new clusters of stars. The arms weren't permanent structures, but patterns that endured because of the continuous flow of matter through them. Like waves traveling through water, they were moving shapes rather than fixed formations, forming and dissolving over long cosmic timescales. In the quieter regions between the arms, space felt more open, more serene. Stars drifted at comfortable distances from one another, rarely interacting. Here, planetary systems formed around young stars and evolved undisturbed. As dust circled their host stars, tiny grains collided and merged, forming pebbles, then rocks, then protoplanets. Over time, with countless collisions and gentle sweeps of gravity, these systems took on their own architectures, each one unique, shaped by millions of small events that occurred in silence. Some systems developed gas giants that orbited far out in cold space. Others formed rocky worlds close to their stars, bathed in warm light. In rare cases, conditions allowed oceans to form, atmospheres to settle, and chemistry to unfold in ways that hinted at the possibility of life. Across the galaxy, countless such worlds existed, each one carrying its own quiet potential, its own version of a story that might one day emerge from the dust. As these worlds matured, they orbited their stars, while their stars orbited the galaxy. Everything moved, everything shifted. The Milky Way itself drifted through intergalactic space, accompanied by its neighboring dwarf galaxies and the faint tidal streams that stretched from their dissolving forms. Even now, larger galaxies approached from afar, their centers moving slowly toward one another in a dance that would take billions of years to complete. All of these motions, all of these events, happened in a calm that the human mind struggles to grasp. Time flowed differently in the galaxy. Change came slowly, gracefully, without rush or urgency. And as you drift with it now, you can feel that same calm settling into your body, guiding your thoughts into softer patterns, helping your breath find the gentle rhythm of the stars themselves. In the drifting quiet of the Milky Way, countless cycles continued to unfold, each one woven into the larger tapestry of the galaxy's slow, steady rhythm. Stars aged gently, shedding soft layers of gas into space like fading embers releasing their final warmth. These layers drifted outward, forming delicate shells of glowing material that expanded for thousands of years before dissolving into the interstellar medium. What seemed like the end of a star's story was only a pause, a moment of transformation before its material became part of something new. These remnants mingled with dust carried from the explosions of larger stars. They combined with the cold clouds that drifted through spiral arms, forming the raw ingredients for future solar systems. In this way, nothing in the galaxy was ever truly lost. Every cycle fed the next, and every quiet transition contributed to the unfolding structure around you. Even the oxygen you breathe, the carbon in your cells, and the iron in your blood began in these ancient fires, carried through time by the calm currents of the galaxy. As you drift deeper into this cosmic landscape, you begin to sense the subtle patterns that guide its motion. The spiral arms move slowly, their shapes shifting as density waves ripple through them. These waves are not visible to the eye, but their influence is undeniable. They gather gas, compress it, and leave behind trails of new stars that illuminate the arms like strings of distant lanterns. Between the arms, the darker lanes of dust absorb starlight and obscure regions where creation quietly continues. In some parts of the disk, massive molecular clouds stretch across hundreds of light years, their interiors colder than anything found on Earth. These clouds are some of the darkest places in the galaxy, absorbing visible light entirely. Yet within their depths, the seeds of new suns are gathering, waiting for the gentle push that begins the collapse. Sometimes a passing shock wave provides this nudge. Other times the cloud drifts into a denser region of the spiral arm. However it happens, the process is patient, accepting, guided by the slow pull of gravity. And as new stars flare into being, their surrounding disks of dust and gas spin outward, forming rings and arcs that eventually give rise to planets. Some of these planets remain small and cold, orbiting far from their stars. Others become giants of hydrogen and helium, swirling with storms larger than entire worlds. Every one of these planets carries its own unique history, shaped by collisions, migrations, and the subtle influence of the galaxy's gravitational tides. Beyond the familiar reach of the spiral arms, the halo continues to drift in silence. Its stars are scattered widely, separated by immense distances that make encounters rare. Some of these stars are among the oldest in existence, shining with the faint light of a universe still young when they were born. They orbit not in the smooth, flat plane of the disk, but in loops that cross above and below it, tracing paths that resemble the gentle motion of something floating on unseen waves. These halo stars are like guardians of memory. Their chemical compositions reveal hints of the galaxies that once existed before merging with the Milky Way. They carry the signatures of ancient collisions, faint echoes of events that shaped the structure of the galaxy long before the Sun formed. In their light, you can sense the depth of time, the way billions of years stretch out like a quiet landscape, filled with stories too slow and too vast to be captured in a single glance. Closer to the disk, the movement of stars becomes more ordered, though still filled with nuance. Some drift outward, influenced by subtle resonances between their orbits and the pattern speed of the spiral arms. Others migrate inward, pulled by gravitational interactions that adjust their paths over millions of years. This radial movement is a gentle exchange that mixes the stellar populations, bringing older stars into younger regions and scattering new stars across the galaxy. Far from the core, where the disk begins to thin, the warp becomes noticeable. One side of the galaxy curves upward, the other downward, forming a graceful wave across the starlit plane. This warp is shaped by interactions with nearby dwarf galaxies, their mass tugging softly at the Milky Way's outer regions. Over time, this gravitational dialogue changes the angles and curves of the disk, though so slowly that no single star ever notices the shift during its lifetime. Yet, when viewed from afar, the galaxy would appear to sway in a subtle, elegant motion, like a vast sheet of light responding to a distant breeze. This gentle distortion carries within it a record of encounters, moments when smaller galaxies passed close enough to leave an imprint. Some of those companions remain nearby even now, orbiting the Milky Way in wide loops. Their interactions continue to influence the galaxy's structure, adding nuance to the way it bends and breathes. As your awareness drifts through this cosmic expanse, you begin to sense the harmony of these movements. The galaxy is not a static structure. It is a living pattern of change, a slow dance of stars, dust, gas, and dark matter, all moving together in a rhythm so broad and so steady that it becomes soothing just to observe. Even the motion of the sun through the Milky Way follows this gentle cadence, rising above the galactic plane and falling below it over tens of millions of years. This vertical oscillation creates a soft swaying effect, a cosmic rocking that continues throughout the solar system's journey. And throughout all of this motion, there is a profound quiet. The galaxy does not hurry, it does not strain, it simply unfolds, layer by layer, motion by motion, shaping itself through time in a way that feels almost meditative. By allowing yourself to drift alongside it, you become part of that calm, part of that larger rhythm that stretches far beyond the boundaries of your own experience. Here, in this vast space where distance loses its meaning and time slows to a peaceful drift, you can feel the tension of your day melting further away. Your breath settles into a steady pattern, your thoughts soften, and the quiet of the galaxy wraps around you like a gentle blanket of starlight. There is no need to rush forward. Everything you need is here, unfolding at a pace that welcomes rest, reflection, and ease. As you drift even farther into this quiet expanse, the galaxy begins to reveal the subtler layers of its structure, the ones that are not visible to the eye, but felt in the slow motions of matter across unimaginable stretches of time. These layers are woven into the very shape of the Milky Way, carried by waves of gravity that ripple through the disk, the halo, and the surrounding space. They move too slowly to perceive in a single lifetime, yet their influence shapes the way stars drift, cluster, and disperse across the spiral arms. Deep within the interstellar medium, the space between stars is not empty. It is filled with a faint mixture of ionized gas, dust grains, magnetic fields, and cosmic rays that flow through the galaxy like a soft tide. These components are thinly spread, far more diffuse than any atmosphere on a planet. Yet over thousands of light years, their presence becomes profound. They guide the motion of charged particles, shape the collapse of clouds, and filter the light from distant stars, adding a subtle texture to the galaxy's glow. This medium forms bubbles and cavities where supernova explosions have cleared vast regions of space. These bubbles can span hundreds of light years, their edges glowing faintly where hot and cold gases meet. Sometimes, multiple bubbles connect, forming enormous chimneys that rise above the galactic plane,
allowing energy and material to flow into the halo. Through these openings, gas escapes upward, cools slowly, and settles back toward the disk in wide, gentle arcs, creating a cycle that moves material across thousands of generations of stars. As the galaxy breathes in this slow, cyclical rhythm, magnetic fields thread through the disk like invisible currents. They twist and bend around clouds, guide the flow of ionized particles, and sometimes create long, elegant filaments that stretch across vast distances. These magnetic structures remain mostly hidden, detectable only through the way they subtly shift the polarization of starlight or influence the paths of cosmic rays. But despite their invisibility, they lend shape to the galaxy's internal motion, helping to weave the intricate patterns that define its form. Closer to the denser regions of the spiral arms, the interplay between gas, gravity, and magnetic fields becomes richer. Dust grains drift through clouds, each one a tiny fragment of material formed in the atmospheres of dying stars. These grains absorb starlight and warm slightly, radiating their heat back into space as faint, invisible glows. Over time, they help clouds cool and collapse more easily, providing a cradle for the formation of new stars. Without dust, the galaxy's rhythms would be harsher, brighter, more turbulent. With it, creation unfolds in gentler stages, softened by the presence of these microscopic particles. In some parts of the galaxy, dust collects into dense, swirling structures that resemble soft, dark rivers. These rivers twist through the spiral arms, hiding behind them clusters of newborn stars. Though they appear opaque in visible light, infrared observations reveal the glowing regions within, where radiating heat escapes from recently ignited suns. These stellar nurseries are some of the most vibrant places in the galaxy, yet they remain cloaked in quiet darkness, their brilliance visible only to instruments that can see beyond the limits of human vision. As clouds evolve and stars emerge, gravity continues its work, shaping their orbits and guiding their paths. Some stars remain close to their birthplaces for millions of years. Others wander outward, their trajectories influenced by passing clusters, spiral arm resonances, or subtle changes in the galactic potential. This slow migration helps blend populations across the disk, allowing stars from different eras and environments to drift together, sharing the same neighborhood even if their origins lie far apart. The Sun itself is one such wanderer. Long ago, when it was still young, it left the cluster that formed around it. Over time, it moved gradually through the disk, settling into the quiet region of the Orion Spur. Here it found a calm and relatively stable environment, far from the dense regions where supernova explosions are frequent. This calm allowed planets to form around it and remain largely undisturbed, creating conditions where life could eventually emerge. Beyond the galactic plane, the halo extends in all directions, a vast sphere populated by ancient objects and shaped by long-forgotten collisions. Some stars in the halo speed along elongated orbits, touching the outermost reaches of the galaxy before sweeping back toward the core. Others form long, delicate streams that arc across the sky, remnants of dwarf galaxies torn apart by tidal forces. These streams are faint, but they trace the history of the Milky Way's growth, stretching like subtle threads woven into the larger fabric. The halo also contains globular clusters, dense spheres of stars bound tightly by gravity. These clusters are among the oldest surviving structures in the galaxy, each one a snapshot of a time billions of years in the past. Their stars shine with the warm, steady glow of ancient suns. Many of them formed before the Milky Way had completed even a fraction of its evolution. Drifting silently above and below the disk, they carry with them the memory of the early universe, witnesses to epochs far beyond human comprehension. As you drift alongside these ancient clusters, the sense of time stretches even further, expanding into a calm that softens every thought. The galaxy moves with a steadiness that invites rest, reminding you that change can happen gently, almost imperceptibly, across vast spans of time. And just as stars find their paths within this slow motion, your own sense of movement begins to align with the galaxy's rhythm. Your breath settles into deeper waves, your shoulders loosen, and the space around you feels more open, more accepting, more still. Here, in this quiet ocean of stars and dust, the Milky Way continues its long, graceful motion, carrying you with it as it turns. You do not need to guide anything. You do not need to think ahead. You are simply drifting within a pattern that has existed for billions of years, a pattern that will continue long after the present moment has passed. And within that pattern, everything moves in a way that allows you to rest, to let go, to sink into the soft gravity of the night. As you drift deeper into this gentle expanse, the galaxy begins to unfold in even more intricate ways, revealing patterns that stretch far beyond the simple arcs of spiral arms. These patterns are made not only of stars and dust, but of motion itself, subtle currents that guide the flow of matter through the Milky Way. Every star, every cloud, every grain of dust participates in these movements, tracing paths shaped by gravity, time, and the quiet pull of unseen forces. Near the midplane of the galaxy, vast regions of warm gas drift between the stars, forming delicate layers that ripple gently as waves of pressure pass through them. These waves are triggered by supernova shocks, by spiral arm density patterns, and even by the collective motion of thousands of stars moving together. Though invisible, they influence the temperature and density of the interstellar medium, setting the stage for where new stars may one day form. Sometimes, clouds collide softly in these regions, merging into larger structures that carry within them the raw potential for future creation. These collisions happen slowly, over millions of years, but their effects are profound. They create pockets of higher density, regions where gravity can finally take hold and begin the slow collapse that leads to star formation. Even in these earliest stages, when the cloud is still vast and cold, the first hints of structure begin to appear, like faint whispers of the stars that will eventually emerge. Farther from the plane, the gas becomes thinner, the dust more sparse, and the stars older. Here, the Milky Way feels quieter, more spacious, a region shaped by long orbits and ancient histories. Stars in these areas move with a serenity that reflects their age, their paths spanning vast loops that take them far above and below the disk. These motions, though gentle, are powerful indicators of the galaxy's internal structure. They reveal how mass is distributed, how the dark matter halo shapes the gravitational landscape, and how the disk itself bends and shifts over time. Some stars in these regions orbit in patterns that seem almost chaotic, tilted at steep angles or elongated into long ovals. But each orbit, no matter how unusual, reflects a history of encounters, interactions, and long-forgotten events. Many of these stars were once part of small galaxies that drifted too close to the Milky Way. Over billions of years, those galaxies were torn apart, their stars scattered into the halo like soft remnants of a distant past. Their motion carries the memory of those ancient collisions, a gentle signature preserved in their quiet drift. As the Milky Way rotates, the outer regions lag behind the center, creating a subtle differential motion that stretches and folds the spiral arms. Gas flows through these patterns like water following the curves of a river, slowed in some places, accelerated in others. This flow is influenced by many factors: the mass of the disk, the density waves of the arms, and the underlying pull of dark matter. Together, they create a system that is both complex and harmonious, a structure that maintains its shape while constantly evolving. Closer to the galactic center, the environment grows more dynamic. Clouds collide more frequently there, and the density of stars increases dramatically. The central bar guides gas inward, drawing material toward the core where the supermassive black hole resides. This inflow can create bursts of star formation, illuminating the region with clusters of young, bright stars. Over time, these bursts grow quieter, leaving behind patterns of motion and temperature that reflect the ebb and flow of activity near the core. The black hole itself remains quiet most of the time, its presence revealed only through the rapid orbits of stars that pass close to it. These stars complete their journeys in a fraction of the time required by stars in the outer disk, moving with astonishing speed around a center that emits no light. Yet, despite its invisibility, the black hole shapes the entire inner region of the galaxy. It stabilizes the orbits, influences the distribution of mass, and provides a gravitational anchor that helps maintain the Milky Way's overall structure. Moving outward once again, the spiral arms appear as vast, graceful arcs dotted with clusters and streaked with lanes of dust. Within these arms, regions of intense star formation glow with soft, diffuse light. These glowing patches are called H2 regions, places where newly born stars emit ultraviolet radiation that ionizes the surrounding gas. The gas then glows faintly, revealing the presence of stars too young and too bright to hide within the dust. Over time, as these stars mature and drift away, the H2 regions fade, leaving behind clusters that migrate slowly into the quieter spaces between the arms. Some clusters dissolve entirely, their stars spreading out into the disk. Others remain bound for long periods, their shared motion and chemistry revealing their common origin. Each cluster is like a small family of stars, born together, moving together for a time, and then gently separating as gravity guides them into new paths. These gentle separations echo across the galaxy. They create layers of stellar populations that blend and overlap, weaving together the history of the Milky Way into a single coherent whole. In these overlapping layers, chemical patterns reveal the ages of stars, the environments in which they formed, and the processes that shape them. Some stars carry the signature of ancient supernovae, enriched with heavy elements. Others remain composed mostly of hydrogen and helium, reminders of times when the universe was far simpler. The deeper you drift into this cosmic tapestry, the more clearly you sense its unity. Every star, every cloud, every grain of dust plays a role in the galaxy's ongoing story. Some pieces move quickly, others barely shift. Some glow brightly, others hide in darkness. Yet together, they create a pattern that flows across billions of years, a pattern that continues to evolve even now. And as you float within this pattern, your breath aligns naturally with its calm motion. The weight of the day fades from your mind, gently replaced by the slow, soothing pulse of the Milky Way itself. There is no need to search for meaning here. The meaning is the quiet itself, the way it cradles your awareness and allows you to rest. The galaxy continues its long journey, and you drift peacefully within it, carried along by a rhythm as old as time. Drifting farther into the quiet, you begin to sense the full scale of the Milky Way's motion, not as a single turning structure, but as a collection of overlapping rhythms. Each one moves at its own pace. Some are fast, some impossibly slow, yet all of them coexist in a harmony that feels natural and unhurried. In this vastness, the galaxy becomes more than a pattern of stars. It becomes a living landscape of motion, a place where time stretches into long, gentle waves. The arms of the galaxy breathe with this rhythm, curving and folding as density waves pass through them. These waves move more slowly than the stars themselves, creating the illusion that the arms are fixed, when in truth they are better understood as moving regions of higher density. Stars flow through them like soft currents through a shallow tide. New stars ignite as the waves compress the gas, while older stars drift outward again, leaving the glowing lanes behind. In the quieter spaces between these arms, the starlight is thinner, more delicate. Here, long-lived stars drift peacefully, undisturbed by the turbulence that shapes the inner regions. These stars act like slow lanterns, moving on stable orbits that change only subtly across millions of years.
Their calm motion provides the structural balance of the galaxy, connecting the bright arms with the softer glow of the disk. Yet even in these calm corridors, the influence of gravity is always present. Invisible forces tug gently on stars, clouds, and dust, adjusting their paths ever so slightly. Sometimes these small shifts accumulate, guiding stars from one region to another, creating bridges between the arms. Other times, they keep stars locked in safe, steady paths that pass smoothly through the galaxy, untouched by anything more dramatic than the soft variations of interstellar space. As you drift through these regions, the light of the galaxy feels softer, more diffuse. Dust grains absorb the brighter wavelengths, allowing only a faint glow to pass through. This glow is not uniform. It ripples gently as dust flows through the galaxy's magnetic fields, forming faint streaks and curves that arc gracefully across the disk. These arcs create patterns that shift slowly over time, mirroring the hidden complexity of the magnetic forces guiding them. These magnetic fields are subtle but powerful. Though they are far weaker than anything you might experience on a planet, they stretch across thousands of light years, shaping the movement of charged particles and influencing the collapse of clouds. They twist around star-forming regions, steadying their structure, and thread through the halo, connecting the disk to the galaxy's outermost fringes. In their presence, dust grains align, cosmic rays follow curved paths, and the starlight itself becomes polarized as it passes through their unseen patterns. Above the disk, the halo's quiet stillness begins to reveal itself again. The halo is not empty, but sparse and dim, populated by ancient stars and faint streams left behind by small galaxies long since absorbed. These streams arc through the darkness like barely visible ribbons, stretching across great distances while maintaining the graceful shape of their original orbits. Each stream carries the history of the galaxy that created it, a soft memory woven into the larger structure of the Milky Way. Some stars in the halo travel on orbits so large that they take billions of years to complete a single cycle. Their motion is almost undetectable over human lifetimes, a gentle wandering that speaks to the deep calm of the outer galaxy. Here, far from the bright activity of the disk, the Milky Way feels more like a drifting island of light suspended in an ocean of silence. Even the gravitational pull of nearby galaxies is subtle at these distances, affecting the halo only in small, barely perceptible ways. Occasionally, small galaxies venture too close to the Milky Way and begin to unravel, their stars stripped away by tidal forces. Many of these stars settle into the halo, forming part of the galaxy's outer layers. Others stretch into long tails that continue to orbit in the patterns of their former homes. Over time, these remnants blend with the halo's ancient stars, enriching it with new motion and new chemical histories. The outer galaxy becomes a mosaic of countless encounters, each one adding a quiet texture to its overall form.
Moving back toward the disk, you begin to sense the cycles of matter that connect the different regions. Gas heated by supernova explosions rises into the halo, forming fountains of hot material that cool slowly as they drift outward. Eventually, this gas falls back down toward the disk, joining the cold clouds that continue the cycle of star formation. These processes shape the chemical evolution of the galaxy, distributing the elements forged in dying stars across vast regions of space. This steady exchange between the disk and the halo creates a kind of cosmic breathing, a long inhale and exhale that spans millions of years. The gas rises gently, spreads, cools, and returns. It is a rhythm so slow and so patient that it becomes soothing just to imagine, an endless cycle that serves as the foundation for the galaxy's growth.
You can almost feel the softness of this motion, the way it drifts through the galaxy like a quiet breeze that never rushes, never pushes, only guides. Within the disk itself, clusters of stars continue to drift. Some move together for long periods, held by their shared origins. Others gradually disperse, spreading their members across the spiral arms. These clusters vary in size and brightness, from small groups of faint stars to dense regions where thousands of suns shine in close proximity. In some clusters, stars are packed so tightly that they influence one another's orbits, creating subtle shifts that ripple outward across the surrounding space. Over time, the clusters dissolve, their stars merging into the general population of the disk. But even long after the clusters have vanished, their stories remain imprinted in the chemistry of their stars. Astronomers can trace these connections through detailed measurements, identifying families of stars that share the same chemical signature. These families form the hidden threads linking the galaxy's past to its present, revealing the quiet origins of stars scattered across the Milky Way. As you drift through this calm expanse, you begin to sense the galaxy not just as a place, but as a state of being. Its vastness is not overwhelming, but steady and comforting. Its motion is not chaotic, but rhythmic and soothing. The light of the stars becomes a soft blanket, the dust a gentle filter, the gas a slow-moving tide. Everything flows, everything breathes, everything moves in harmony. And within this harmony, your breath finds its own ease. Your thoughts settle into quiet patterns. The sense of stillness deepens. You feel aligned with the soft pulse of the Milky Way, drifting gently through a night that stretches farther than the eye can imagine, yet feels close enough to rest within. As you continue drifting through this gentle expanse, the galaxy's deeper layers unfold with a softness that feels almost like remembering something familiar, something ancient. You begin to sense the Milky Way not only through its light, but through the calm gravity that binds it together, a quiet force holding stars, clouds, and entire regions in a steady, harmonious embrace. This gravity is not harsh or rigid. It is patient, shaping paths slowly, guiding each object along a smooth arc that stretches across millions of years. In the outer disk, where the starlight becomes delicate and the distances widen, the spiral arms appear more like faint echoes than solid structures. Their patterns blur gently into the darkness, and the stars drift in paths shaped more by the overall mass of the galaxy than by the details of its luminous design. Here, the Milky Way feels more like a whisper than a presence, a thin, soft glow suspended in a deep, silent sea. Despite this quiet, the outer disk carries subtle movements that ripple through its structure. These motions can be triggered by passing dwarf galaxies, by density waves moving outward from the core, or by the long-term influence of the halo.
Though gentle, these shifts add layers of texture to the galaxy, creating slight asymmetries in the placement of stars and clouds.
These imperfections are part of the Milky Way's character, reminders that even galaxies evolve through encounters, through interactions, through the slow accumulation of tiny changes. As you drift inward again, the starlight thickens. You move through regions where stars are more numerous, their combined glow creating a soft, warm haze that stretches across the sky. Dust clouds thread through these regions, adding patches of darkness that contrast against the gentle glow. In some places, these clouds gather into long, winding lanes that curve like dark rivers between the stars. These rivers guide the flow of light, shaping the patterns of brightness across the arms. Inside these dark lanes, the temperature drops to near absolute zero. The cold slows the motion of molecules, allowing them to bind together and form the chemical precursors of life. Within this quiet, shielded darkness, the seeds of future stars and planets wait in silence. They are shaped not by urgency, but by the slow, natural rhythm of collapse and fragmentation, a rhythm that mirrors the steady breath of the galaxy itself. Occasionally, a shock wave from a distant supernova passes through a cloud, compressing regions that were once stable and nudging them toward collapse. These waves travel across stunning distances, sometimes moving through entire spiral arms.
When they meet a cloud, their energy becomes a catalyst for new creation, igniting a chain of events that leads to the birth of bright young stars. Even in death, stars contribute to renewal, their final bursts becoming part of the galaxy's quiet cycle. As new stars ignite, they illuminate their surroundings with a soft ultraviolet glow. This light, though invisible to human eyes, energizes the surrounding gas and causes it to emit faint glimmers of red and pink. These glimmers reveal the outlines of nebulae, glowing regions that drift through the arms like lanterns in the night. They expand and fade as the young stars mature, leaving behind remnants that eventually blend back into the darkness.
Farther inside the galaxy, the influence of the central bar becomes more noticeable. The bar rotates slowly, guiding streams of gas toward the inner regions. This motion fuels star formation near the core and helps maintain the structure of the spiral arms. The bar itself is composed of older stars, their orbits elongated rather than circular. These stars move together like dancers in a long, sweeping formation, each step guided by the collective gravity of the entire structure. Near the heart of the Milky Way, the density increases dramatically. Stars cluster together in brilliant crowds, forming a central bulge that glows with the light of billions of suns. The gravitational field here is strong, pulling stars into faster and tighter orbits. Their motion becomes complex, shaped by multiple overlapping forces, yet the overall structure remains stable, a testament to the balance that has been achieved over billions of years. Deep within this glowing heart, the supermassive black hole resides in stillness. It does not emit light, it does not shine, but its presence is unmistakable. Stars near it move in elegant loops, racing through their orbits at breathtaking speeds. These stars complete cycles in mere millions of years, a tempo far quicker than that of stars in the outer disk. Their motion creates a kind of cosmic choreography, a set of graceful, stable arcs that play out in the quiet center of the galaxy. And even here, in this dense and active region, the dominant sensation is calm. The movement feels smooth, unhurried, guided by the core's gravity in a way that ensures balance rather than chaos. The energy radiating from older stars warms the surrounding gas, creating a soft glow that diffuses outward. This golden light mixes with the cooler glow of distant arms, forming a gentle gradient that stretches across the galaxy's interior. It is a reminder that even the busiest places in the Milky Way can carry a sense of peace.
As you drift back toward the quieter regions, the scenery softens. The density of stars decreases. The lanes of dust stretch open into broader spaces. The spiral arms widen into gentle curves. In this calm, you begin to feel the presence of the galaxy as a single unified structure, one that breathes with a long, slow rhythm. Its cycles of birth, death, collapse, and renewal unfold naturally, without haste, without force. And as you float within this rhythm, a sense of ease washes over you. The galaxy's steady motion becomes your own. Your breath deepens. Your thoughts fade into softer shapes. The quiet around you grows deeper, surrounding you like a comforting darkness filled with distant, warm light. You are drifting within a vast sea of stars, carried effortlessly by a motion older than memory, calmer than the night, and gentle enough to guide you toward rest. As you drift even deeper into the quiet rhythm of the galaxy, the layers of starlight begin to blend into one another, forming a soft haze that stretches across your perception like a delicate veil. The Milky Way no longer feels like a collection of parts, but like a single living presence, breathing in cycles so slow they feel eternal. Every region, every cloud, every star seems connected by an underlying calm, a stillness that moves not through silence alone, but through the gentle coherence of everything unfolding together. The starlight becomes more diffuse as you move outward from the bright central regions. It shifts from warm gold to pale silver, then to a quiet blue that blends softly with the surrounding darkness. Dust grains float through the light, creating faint shadows and subtle gradients that ripple across the arms. These shadows drift like thin, wandering currents, shaped by the slight pressure of starlight and the invisible pull of magnetic fields. They soften the brightness of the galaxy, turning sharp light into a faint glow that feels comforting, familiar, timeless. Beyond these glowing lanes, the interstellar medium stretches in long, gentle curves. Thin pockets of gas drift through the void, shaped into smooth waves by ancient supernova remnants and the quiet gravitational patterns of nearby stars. These pockets form a landscape not unlike rolling hills, their density rising and falling with a softness that makes the galaxy feel almost like a place you could touch, as if the very air of space were quietly flowing around you. Here, the galaxy's natural cycles feel especially serene. Gas clouds cool, settle, and drift into regions where star formation begins. Others warm slowly as they approach areas filled with older stars, absorbing light and radiating it back into the deeper darkness. These changes happen gradually, with a patience that reflects the long age of the galaxy itself. Nothing is rushed, nothing is forced. Everything unfolds at exactly the pace it needs. In the mid-disk, where stars are more numerous and the spiral structure is clearer, you can sense the elegant interplay between motion and stillness. Stars orbit the center at steady speeds, following smooth curves that repeat endlessly across billions of years. Their collective motion creates a soft gravitational melody, a harmony of paths that weave together to form the shape of the galaxy. Even when individual stars move unpredictably or encounter subtle gravitational nudges, the larger pattern remains stable, unified by the calm gravity that binds it all. Within these arms, small clusters of stars glow with youthful brightness. They formed recently, their light untouched by the long journey of aging. Their presence brings a gentle sparkle to the galaxy, like fresh embers in a long-burning fire. As they drift outward, they illuminate the surrounding dust, creating faint halos that shimmer softly in the background. These halos fade over time as the stars disperse, but the memory of their glow lingers in the light that continues to drift through space. Deeper within the dust lanes, where starlight barely reaches, dense cores form inside cold molecular clouds. These cores are the cradles of future stars, but for now they remain hidden, shrouded in quiet darkness. Even without light, you can sense their presence, small pockets of potential wrapped in the galaxy's gentle calm. As these cores grow and gravity pulls them inward, they warm gradually, marking the earliest stages of new creation. Their warmth is subtle, like a spark forming deep within the coals of a long-burning fire. And while these new stars prepare to form, older stars continue their slow drift through the arms. Their motions intersect and diverge, creating delicate patterns that rarely repeat. Some move slightly above the plane of the disk, others below, each following a path influenced by ancient events long forgotten. Their orbits carry the history of countless encounters, collisions, and resonances, yet they move gently now, guided by the broader stability of the Milky Way. From time to time, a massive star reaches the end of its life, expanding into a bright red giant before releasing its outer layers into space. These layers drift outward in spherical shells, glowing faintly as they reflect the dying star's light. The core left behind collapses into a white dwarf, a small, dense remnant that cools slowly over billions of years. In these quiet endings, the galaxy returns enriched material to the interstellar medium, allowing future generations of stars to form with new elements, new possibilities. Sometimes, a star much larger ends in a great supernova, a burst of energy that briefly outshines entire regions of the galaxy. But even this dramatic event is part of the calm cycle, a momentary flare that soon gives way to silence. The shock waves expand outward, shaping clouds, stirring gas, and triggering new waves of creation. In destruction, the galaxy finds renewal, maintaining its balance through the endless exchange of energy and matter. As you float through these regions, you begin to sense the interconnectedness of everything. The galaxy is not a collection of isolated events, it is a single, continuous story, unfolding across billions of years in a calm, natural sequence. The spiral arms are chapters. The clouds are paragraphs. The stars are words drawn from the same cosmic language. And you, drifting quietly within this vast story, are a listener to its gentle rhythm. Each breath you take aligns with the slow, deep pace of the galaxy. The calm it carries settles into your body, softening your thoughts, easing the weight of the day. You feel held by the stillness, supported by the vastness, comforted by the knowledge that everything here moves with patience, grace, and quiet intention. You drift deeper, carried softly by the motion of the stars, and the galaxy continues to unfold around you in a silence that feels infinite and warm. As you drift farther into the soft expanse of the Milky Way, the galaxy's immense scale becomes even more delicate, almost tender. The stars shimmer like distant embers floating on an endless tide, each one carrying its own quiet story. Their light travels across thousands, sometimes millions of years before reaching you, arriving gently without urgency, as though time itself has softened its edges. The deeper you float, the more the galaxy reveals its layers of motion. Even the smallest currents matter here, shaping the way dust drifts, the way gas settles, the way starlight bends. These currents are subtle, invisible, yet they weave through the galaxy like threads drawing the whole tapestry together. They guide the tilt of orbits, the slow rise and fall of the disk, the gentle stretching of the spiral arms across their long arcs. Near the outer edges of the disk, the density of stars grows thin. The spaces between them widen into peaceful stretches that feel almost like open water, calm and steady. Here, stars move with a serene confidence, following broad, sweeping paths that carry them far above and below the galactic plane. Their motion forms a slow, graceful wave as they drift up and down, creating a soft vertical rhythm that repeats over millions of years. This gentle oscillation is part of the galaxy's natural cadence, a motion so subtle you can imagine it as a quiet rocking that continues endlessly. The dust that fills these outer regions is faint, delicate, drifting like fine mist. It shapes itself into long, whisper-thin filaments that stretch across vast distances. Sometimes these filaments appear as faint shadows against the starlight, barely visible, like soft brushstrokes on a dark canvas. They are pulled gently by magnetic fields, twisted and folded in patterns that resemble swirls of smoke rising in slow motion. Even though these structures are fragile, they play a vital role in cooling gas, allowing new stars to form in places where light barely penetrates. Moving slowly inward again, the starlight grows brighter, layering itself into a soft band of silver and gold. This brightening is subtle, gradual, like dawn slowly rising over a still horizon. Clusters of stars appear in gentle concentrations, their combined light giving the spiral arms their shimmering shape. Some clusters remain tight and luminous, while others have already begun to disperse, their stars drifting apart as gravity opens their paths. Even as they fall away from one another, they carry the memory of their shared beginning, faint echoes of their origins hidden within their chemical signatures. In the regions where starlight and dust mingle, something remarkable happens. The dust scatters light in a way that creates soft, glowing reflections that drift outward like tiny halos. These reflections add texture to the galaxy, making some regions appear smoother, others more luminous. The effect is quiet and soothing, as if the galaxy were wrapped in a thin layer of starlit fog. Deeper in the spiral arms, clouds of gas gather in vast structures that stretch for hundreds of light years. These clouds are cold, dark, almost motionless to the eye. But within them, gravity works slowly and steadily, shaping small pockets of denser material. These pockets collapse into new stars, warming gradually, glowing faintly even before their fusion has fully ignited. In their earliest moments, these newborn stars are wrapped in thick cocoons of dust, hidden from the outside world. Only infrared light can escape, a gentle warmth that hints at the beginnings of their long journey. As these stars grow, they begin to shape their surroundings. They blow bubbles in the surrounding gas, create soft shock fronts, and illuminate parts of the cloud that were once completely dark. The quiet becomes brighter, fuller, alive with the faint murmur of creation. Though these regions are active, the overall sensation remains peaceful, because everything unfolds on a timescale so slow and so spacious that even the most dramatic changes feel natural, unhurried. And while new stars emerge, older stars continue their steady drift through the disk. Their paths carry them through regions of varying density, sometimes passing through dust clouds, sometimes through open voids. They experience the galaxy as a soft alternation between light and shadow, warmth and coolness, brightness and calm. Their motion is steady, predictable, guided by the quiet shape of the Milky Way's gravitational potential. Above and below the disk, the influence of the halo remains constant. It is like a soft pressure from all around, holding the galaxy together in a stable embrace. The halo is vast, reaching far beyond the spiral arms, populated by faint stars moving along ancient orbits. These stars have seen the galaxy evolve through countless epochs. They carry the memories of collisions long past, of galaxies pulled apart, of structures formed and dissolved. Their light is soft, weathered by time, and it drifts through the darkness like a whisper from the earliest days of the universe. Occasionally, one of these ancient stars passes close to the disk, dipping through it like a slow-moving traveler crossing a quiet river. Their paths intersect the spiral arms at gentle angles, unaffected by the density of the younger stars around them. They move with a kind of quiet authority, guided only by gravity's slow pull and the long memory of their orbit. The galaxy continues turning throughout all of this, its rotation smooth and rhythmical. Each region moves at its own pace, yet everything remains connected. The spiral arms glide slowly. The bar rotates at the center. The halo drifts in its wide, patient loops. And the entire structure moves through the vastness of intergalactic space, carrying with it all the stars, all the dust, all the quiet currents that define its shape. As you float in the midst of this motion, the galaxy's scale grows softer, more intimate. You realize that even though the Milky Way spans 100,000 light-years, it feels calm, balanced, peaceful. Every movement is smooth. Every transition is gentle. Even the faint hum of cosmic rays passing through the space around you seems delicate, barely noticeable. Your breath aligns with this calm. Your thoughts dissolve into the wide silence. The Milky Way's steady presence becomes a cradle of light and shadow, guiding you gently deeper into rest. Here, in this quiet expanse, you are held by the oldest rhythms of the universe, drifting within a softness that spans billions of years. As you drift deeper into the vast, gentle ocean of the Milky Way, the patterns of motion begin to feel familiar, almost soothing, like a distant melody repeating softly through an endless night. Stars continue their long, steady paths, following curves shaped by gravity, by time, by the quiet interactions that ripple through the disk. Their collective motion becomes a kind of cosmic hum, a calming background vibration that steadies your thoughts and eases your breath. Far from the bright inner regions, the spiral arms stretch outward in elegant arcs, thinning as they reach the galaxy's edge. Here, the starlight is sparse and faint, scattered like distant sparks across a wide, peaceful field. The darkness between these stars is deep but gentle, carrying none of the weight or urgency you might imagine in such vast emptiness. Instead, it feels open and soft, like a quiet space where everything has room to drift without effort. Dust grains float through the outer disk, forming delicate patterns that shift slowly over millions of years. These grains are small, fragile, and yet they hold within them the remnants of countless ancient stars. Their presence softens the starlight, giving the galaxy a diffuse glow that feels almost like moonlight spread across calm water. As you move through these regions, the darkness never feels empty. It feels restful, like a soft blanket drawn gently across the night. In this peaceful expanse, the motion of the galaxy becomes even subtler. Here, the difference between stillness and movement blurs, because everything drifts at a pace too slow to sense directly. Stars glide through their orbits with patience, completing their long, sweeping journeys over hundreds of millions of years. Their paths cross lightly, gracefully, shaping the spiral arms with a rhythm that feels eternal, each orbit adding to the quiet symmetry of the galactic disk. Occasionally, a rogue star passes through these regions. It moves faster than its neighbors, carried by an ancient trajectory set long ago when it was flung outward from the inner galaxy. Its speed is impressive, yet it moves with no disruption, cutting a silent path through the emptiness. Even these swift travelers seem calm here, their presence adding only the faintest ripple to the surrounding stillness. Gradually, as you drift inward again, the starlight begins to thicken. More stars appear, clustering subtly, forming brighter threads that trace the gentle arc of the spiral arms. The dust becomes richer, the gas more structured, and the patterns of birth and renewal become clearer. Here, in these intermediate regions, the cycle of star formation continues quietly, without haste. Cold clouds drift lazily through the arms, absorbing starlight and shielding entire regions from view. Inside these clouds, fragments collapse under their own weight, forming the seeds of new suns. These seeds warm slowly, glowing faintly as they gather more material. The earliest light of these forming stars is soft, invisible to the human eye, slipping quietly through the dust in long, gentle waves. When a new star finally ignites, the moment is not dramatic. It is subtle, calm, a warm presence blooming inside a cocoon of darkness. Over time, the surrounding dust begins to glow, reflecting the young star's light outward in a soft amber mist. These newborn stars form clusters, small families that drift together through the arm before slowly dispersing, blending into the wider disk. Their early brightness adds tiny flares of warmth to the galaxy, brief sparks of youth in an ancient landscape. As you move closer toward the inner regions, the influence of the central bar becomes clear again. Stars follow elongated orbits here, guided by the bar's slow rotation. Gas flows inward along narrow lanes, feeding the core and shaping the inner arms. Even though this region is denser and more active, the overall sensation remains calm. Everything here moves with purpose, yet without urgency, following patterns set in motion billions of years ago. The closer you drift toward the heart of the Milky Way, the more the starlight intensifies. The central bulge rises gently from the disk, glowing with the light of countless old stars. Their combined radiance forms a warm, golden haze that spills outward like a soft sunrise spreading across a distant horizon. Within this glow, the atmosphere feels almost sacred, a quiet reminder of how much time has passed since these stars first ignited. Deep at the center, hidden behind layers of dust and radiance, the supermassive black hole rests in stillness. It draws matter toward it with a quiet, implacable gravity, shaping the motion of everything nearby. Yet, despite its enormous influence, the core does not feel threatening. It feels steady, balanced, like the calm at the center of a vast drifting tide. Stars whirl around it at incredible speeds, their orbits precise, their motion elegant, like dancers circling an invisible partner. Even here, where the density is highest and the motion most complex, the sensation remains peaceful. The galaxy moves as one, every part connected in a harmony that stretches across unimaginable distances. And as you drift alongside this harmony, you feel yourself becoming part of it. Your breath slows, your thoughts soften. The calm that permeates the Milky Way settles gently into your body, easing every tension, dissolving every worry. You drift a little farther, carried by the soft current of starlight, wrapped in the warm glow of a galaxy that has been breathing quietly for billions of years. And in this moment, everything feels aligned, peaceful, and infinitely gentle, as if the night itself were guiding you toward deeper rest. As you drift even deeper into the quiet expanse of the Milky Way, the galaxy begins to reveal the subtle transitions that bridge its bright inner regions with the softer, more delicate outer layers. These transitions are not sudden or sharp. They unfold gradually, like the slow fading of twilight into night, each moment blending naturally into the next. The starlight shifts from warm gold to soft silver. The density of stars thins gently, and the darkness gathers with a peaceful elegance that feels welcoming rather than empty. The stars here move in exquisite harmony. Their orbits stretch far, looping through the spiral arms, drifting through regions of dust and gas, and gliding silently across the vast disk. Each one follows a path determined by the combined pull of everything around it. Even the smallest shifts, a passing cluster, a gentle resonance with a spiral arm, the faint tug of the central bar, become part of the long, patient choreography that guides them through the galaxy. Dust lanes weave through these regions with quiet grace. They are neither obstacles nor boundaries, but soft shapes sculpted by light and gravity. In some places, they appear as dark ribbons, blocking the starlight behind them. In others, they glow faintly, illuminated from within by distant stars. Their presence softens the galaxy's glow, turning bright light into gentle gradients that flow across the spiral arms like strokes of ink brushed delicately across a vast canvas. As you float through these lanes, the silence feels almost tangible. There is no wind, no vibration, no sound, only the steady presence of the galaxy moving around you. The dust absorbs light, but it also reflects tiny fragments of it, creating a faint shimmer that drifts across your perception like glints on the surface of calm water. These glimmers flicker softly, not enough to illuminate, but enough to add depth to the darkness. In the regions where gas becomes denser, the first hints of new formation emerge. Vast molecular clouds fill the space with cold, quiet potential. Inside these clouds, temperature drops to levels that slow the motion of atoms to their gentlest pace. Gravity works silently, gathering material into small knots that deepen over time. These knots are the earliest stages of stellar birth, but for now they remain hidden, wrapped in cocoons of dust where no visible light can escape. Even in this darkness, the galaxy's calm rhythm is felt. The clouds drift slowly through the spiral arms, shaped by magnetic forces, tugged gently by passing stars, stretched by subtle pressure waves. Every movement is soft, unhurried, part of a cycle that unfolds so slowly that it becomes a source of comfort rather than change. Farther inward, the starlight grows brighter again. Here, stars are more numerous, their combined glow creating a wide, luminous band that wraps around the disk. This light is warm but subdued, softened by dust and distance. It blends into the surrounding darkness with a smoothness that feels almost like the slow, deliberate unfurling of a soft blanket across a quiet room. The galaxy's brightness is never harsh. Even in its most radiant regions, it offers a kind of gentle reassurance. As you drift through the spiral arms, you begin to notice how many stars here travel in small groups. Some of these groups are remnants of clusters that once held them close. Others are families of stars that formed together and have stayed in each other's company for millions of years. Their motion is synchronized, their paths intertwined, like quiet companions drifting along the same current. These small star families add intimacy to the vastness, reminding you that even in enormous structures, closeness can exist. Occasionally, you pass through regions where older stars dominate. Their light is steady and warm, shaped by long lives and gentle aging. These stars emit softer radiation compared to their younger, brighter counterparts. Their presence adds a peaceful golden hue to the region, a warm glow that feels steady, familiar, enduring. Over billions of years, they will gradually cool, fade, and leave behind quiet remnants that continue drifting through the galaxy's calm tides. Above and below the disk, the halo watches quietly. Its stars are distant, faint, and slow-moving. Some trace immense elliptical orbits that carry them far from the galactic plane before sweeping back again. When these stars pass near the disk, they glide through the spiral arms without disturbance, following their ancient paths unchanged. They carry with them stories older than the disk itself. stories of early mergers, forgotten galaxies, and the long, slow shaping of the Milky Way. These halo stars move like silent guardians, drifting through the outskirts as if keeping watch over the galaxy's quiet evolution. Their light is gentle, faint enough to be lost easily within the brighter glow of the disk, yet unmistakable when you focus on it. They remind you that the galaxy is not confined to the luminous band you see in the sky, but stretches far into the darkness, a vast sphere of motion that extends well beyond the spiral arms. As you drift through this tranquil scene, the rhythm of the galaxy begins to blend seamlessly with your own.
The quiet rise and fall of the disk mirrors the slow expansion of your breath. The gentle curve of the arms reflects the ease settling into your thoughts. The soft glow of distant stars becomes a calm reassurance, a reminder that even in the vastness of space there is order, balance, and serenity. Here, floating in the galaxy's embrace, you begin to feel the depth of its quiet, a quiet so profound that it eases every trace of tension from your mind. The Milky Way continues turning, slow and steady, moving through its endless cycles with the patience of billions of years. And within that vast, steady motion, you feel yourself drifting more deeply into rest, carried gently by the soft currents of starlight. As you drift farther across the Milky Way's quiet expanse, the galaxy's patterns begin to blend into one continuous, calming flow. The boundaries between regions soften. The transitions between light and shadow become gentle gradients. Everything feels connected by the same slow rhythm, the same patient unfolding that guides every star and every cloud through its long journey. Deep within the disk, the starlight forms a soft river of luminosity that stretches across the sky. Each star contributes a tiny point of light to this glowing band, and together they create a presence that feels warm and steady, like the soft hum of a familiar lullaby. The density of stars here is comforting, their motion smooth and synchronized in a way that invites your attention to quiet, steady itself, and drift. Through this luminous river, lanes of dust weave like delicate bands of shadow. They shift slowly, shaped by currents too vast to imagine, and their soft patterns curl elegantly around the spiral arms. These dark lanes do not obscure the beauty of the galaxy. Instead, they shape it, adding depth, contrast, and texture to the glowing expanse. Their presence makes the light feel softer, more intimate, as if the galaxy were lowering its brightness to meet you gently. Inside some of these dust lanes, the earliest stages of star formation unfold in complete darkness. Molecules move slowly in the cold, gathering into clusters that grow denser with every passing moment. These hidden cradles of future stars rest in a silence deeper than any you've ever known, shielded from starlight by layers of dust that drift like fog. Yet even here, in the coldest regions, there is warmth waiting to emerge, a quiet glow preparing to rise and join the Milky Way's shimmering currents. As the dust thins, the spiral arms open into broader spaces filled with clusters of young, luminous stars. These clusters glow with a crisp blue light, their energy a sign of their youth. They scatter the dust around them, creating cavities and bubbles where radiation flows freely. Over time, these young stars drift apart, losing their tight formation, but carrying with them the memory of their shared beginnings. Their paths diverge, yet their glow continues to shape the arms, tracing their curves with delicate strokes of light. Moving farther outward, the galaxy becomes gentler, more spacious. Stars lie farther apart, their glow spreading thinly across the darkness. The silence here grows deeper, embracing you with a softness that feels almost physical, like a gentle hand resting on your shoulder. The calm is profound, uninterrupted by any urgency. It is the kind of quiet that eases the mind without effort, allowing every thought to dissolve into the steady drift of time.
In these tranquil outskirts, rogue stars sometimes appear, racing through the disk at speeds far faster than the surrounding population. These travelers were flung from the inner regions long ago, perhaps through interactions with clusters or the powerful pull of the central core. Yet even their swift motion feels gentle here, cushioned by the vastness of the galaxy. They carry their speed quietly, never disturbing the stillness through which they pass. Above and below the disk, faint threads of ancient stellar streams glimmer, remnants of small galaxies that merged with the Milky Way long before the Sun formed.
These streams arc across the darkness like pale traces of forgotten paths, their stars moving together in graceful lines that preserve the shape of their original orbits. They serve as reminders that the galaxy has been growing and changing for billions of years, gently absorbing new members into its slow, steady motion. The halo stretches far beyond these streams, a vast dim sphere populated by some of the oldest stars in existence. Here, the light is faint and soft, scattered across such immense distances that the darkness between each point feels endless. Yet this darkness is peaceful, filled with the calm presence of ancient objects moving with the patience of ages. Their orbits loop across thousands of light years, taking billions of years to complete a single cycle. Their motion is so slow, so unhurried, that it becomes another form of stillness. In this quiet, you sense something that is hard to describe, a feeling that the galaxy is not only vast, but deeply harmonious. Every region, from the luminous core to the distant halo, participates in the same gentle rhythm. The movements differ, the shapes vary, the brightness changes, but all of it flows together like a single breath taken across billions of years. The Milky Way inhales when gas rises from the disk. It exhales when that gas cools and settles back down. It pulses with star formation. It quiets with the dimming of old stars. It drifts through the cosmos with the calm assurance of a presence that has existed for nearly as long as the universe itself. And as you drift within this cosmic breath, your own breath becomes deeper, slower, more aligned with the galaxy's ancient pace. The tension in your mind unwinds. The thoughts that flickered at the edges of your awareness dissolve into the soft starlight. You feel supported by the calm, held by the quiet, embraced by the gentle harmony of a galaxy that moves without hurry, without effort, without end. Here, in this vast and tender expanse, you drift effortlessly, guided by rhythms older than memory, drifting deeper into rest with every passing moment. As you drift toward the final edge of this long, gentle journey, the galaxy settles around you like a warm, quiet sea. The starlight softens into a faint silver haze. The spiral arms fade into the distance, and the vast structures that carried you through their ancient rhythms begin to dissolve into a comforting darkness. Nothing ends abruptly here. Everything fades with grace, the way a slow tide withdraws from a calm shore. The stars that guided you through the inner regions now glow like distant lanterns, their light softened by the dust and silence of the galactic night. The motion around you becomes subtler, slower, until it feels almost like stillness. Only the faintest hint of drift remains, a quiet reassurance that the galaxy continues to move, continues to breathe, even as it allows you to rest. Far above, the halo stretches outward, its ancient stars drifting in their wide orbits, patient and unhurried.
Beneath you, the disk glows faintly, a soft band of light drawn across the darkness. All of these structures, all of these motions blend into a single presence, a calm and steady heartbeat that spans hundreds of billions of stars and billions of years. And within that steady heartbeat, you feel the quiet embrace of the galaxy itself. You feel its calm settle gently into your breath. You feel its patience soften your thoughts. You feel its timeless stillness resting around you like a gentle cocoon of night. Here, you are part of something vast, but you are never lost in it. You are held by it, carried by it, supported by the slow rhythm of a universe that asks nothing of you except to rest. You do not need to move, you do not need to think. You simply drift, gently, peacefully, embraced by light older than memory. And as this journey comes to its close, the Milky Way continues its quiet turning. Stars are forming, stars are fading, dust is drifting, clouds are collapsing and unfolding. Everything moves in soft, patient cycles, and you move with it now, your breath synced to the long, slow tide of the galaxy. Let your body grow heavy. Let your thoughts dissolve into the dark. Let the quiet of the Milky Way carry you the rest of the way. You are safe here, drifting in a calm that spans the stars. Sleep well and dream softly.